even know what a Stallone cut is, little dog?
Stallone Cuts. Stallone Cuts. Sylvester Stallone Cuts. Stallone Cuts. Stallone Cuts. Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thirsty for More.
Nice to meet you.
Of course,
Stallone Cuts.
Tulsa King.
Yeah.
Tulsa Kings. Because
Tulsa
we'll lead
Kings.
as two kings.
Will lead us to kings, yeah. Sorry.
MTV. Oh my god, dude, this show's getting better and better.
MTV Stallone.
The show is getting better and better.
All right, you're gonna sell me on this.
Am I gonna sell you? Are you not 100% on board?
Here's why I'm not on board.
Okay.
Because realistically, the show has found its footing.
Yeah.
In this episode, and the footing is the footing I didn't want it to find.
Really?
Which is fine. It's just my expectations are now.
Is it because they made the obvious Nazis just bikers and not Nazis?
No, it wasn't that. if they made them Nazis, which they probably will to some degree, like that's fine to me. It's more the stuff that's like, it feels a little bit like it's gotten to a point where it's figured out that it doesn't want to be as serious as the more serious parts in the rest of the show, and it wants to stick to being like a more lighthearted show than it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all from this episode.
All right, tell me.
I think this episode went fucking hard. Well, let's talk about it.
Well, we start off with Benny.
Benny's the name. Benny.
Who's very slinky and is like,
He's like,
hey, these
hey,
horses. Honey. I don't know. These horses or
I don't
something.
know. He's so Benny. He's so Benny from Sopranos.
Yeah.
He's going to have so many names. So we got to say, we're going to call him probably
Benny or Armand.
Benny or Armand, but he's also named Manny in his fake life on the show.
Yeah.
As a horse rancher. So when he's obviously an Italian guy from New York.
Yeah, totally.
But
well, he comes back from the ranch and is like, you know, pissed because the dog took a shit again on his lawn, and they do a really nice rack focus on the shit as they go down. It's a very cinematic shit. And the wife comes out and she's like, Manny, I'm mad at you. I'm getting out of here. And he
why is she mad at him?
Well, she's. Oh yeah, why is she mad at him?
I don't know that she is.
Oh,
mad.
She's not mad at him yet. Yeah,
she's
you're
not
right.
mad yet.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I loved this first scene where Stallone comes in and is immediately like,
oh, dude,
he's
like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like
Yeah.
this part's cool because it's like Stallone finally being like, I don't know, like he's kind of softened over the last few episodes. He's not been punching people, you know, like he's like trying to be like a guy who you can get along with people, you know?
Yeah.
And like, oh man, we're gonna talk about he fucking did it in this episode.
oh yeah,
dude.
totally. He does it in every episode.
But he kind of it was like easing up a little bit here, and he's like, dude, why the fuck did you try and kill me? He's
man.
not fucking around Stallone in this part.
Get on your knees, Chicky. Chicky, what about Chicky?
Oh man, I loved it so much. And like
I'm gonna say a name.
What's really cool about this scene is they're both trying to sort of like gauge each other's reactions in this situation where they're like, did you try and kill, like they're both like looking to see like, he's like,
Chicky, what? I have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
Like, I tried to kill you because you tried to kill me.
Yeah,
it's like, why else would you be here?
Why else would you be
in
here?
Tulsa? Yeah. He's confused and like.
I was confused.
But I'm confused. It's weird that Stallone is in Tulsa.
Yeah,
that's gonna be something. Something's gonna come up with that for
you think
sure.
So? You don't think it's a
They're just like branching. Tulsa. It's the middle south of America.
But it
what does that have to do with New York?
I hope they don't do that because it feels a little bit like it'll enter into territory where it's like, oh, it was all a master plan of some kind. It's much better and much funnier and much cooler for it to be like mistaken identities, not knowing things, and then getting involved in things.
But that's what was really cool about this scene is they're both trying to figure out what the other person knows.
Yeah, because he's like, I got a kid, I got a wife.
Oh man, and we saw that in the last episode where he's like, "My little man, I love you so much.
totally.
I'm such a good father."
When I saw you at the mall, I thought Chicky sent you, like that kind of
So
stuff.
they both think that Chicky's trying to kill them.
My name is Chicky.
And in this scene, we get the reveal that Stallone's longtime friend and boss, Pete, tried to have Stallone
killed in
prison.
Yeah.
Because they were like,
Because nobody
25
flipped.
years? What kind of prison does that time?
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, dude.
I got no beef with you, like you clearly do, Stallone.
Man, Stallone, legit scary in this scene.
Yeah, it was
scary.
great. It was
good. It was good.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the wife comes home and is like, oh, who's this guy? And is like scared of him, and also, but because he's like looming and giant.
He's very
but then
looming.
it is like, make sure that she hears that he is working for him now or whatever. You got sugar? Stevia.
Agave. I don't know.
Agave,
It's
yeah.
agave. And he's like, what? I don't know what it is. He's like, what is
Yeah.
that? I don't know. Man, like, it's got a lot of really cool scenes in this. And even though there is a lightheartedness in the way this scene plays out, because it's kind of, there's humor in the like dramatic irony of the situation. We know stuff that they both don't know, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so like, there is like a seriousness, like, and
I swear on my kid's eyes.
I love that. It made it super Italian.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he reveals like, I tried to escape this thing, and he's like, we don't do that. And talking about Omerta, talking about like Costronota, which is
and
like
Tico
the like
Tavares, the guy that they bring up.
Oh yeah.
Like in prison, he was the guy who tried to kill
Assassinate Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that the guy that he killed?
Maybe it's
That's probably the guy in self-defense.
So small things are getting revealed here. The show is
My
showing sorry?
My Pete?
Oh,
He's like,
man.
oh, Pete.
That was heartbreaking. And Stallone's reaction to the betrayal was like, he was just like, oh man. Like he
Please clap.
he was like defeated, but also very like, like it's Stallone is showing a lot of range of emotion in this episode.
Definitely. He's also got that part of sadness of looking at the lawn and being like, do you mow your lawn? And he's like, yeah.
My whole life, I never mowed a fucking.
And he's
You're
like,
from
"You grew
fucking
up in Brooklyn."
Dude. It's great. It's the kind of Sopranos humor. This is
Yeah.
where the show really starts feeling for me more Sopranos. And I read that the writers from Sopranos are writers on this show.
Yeah. Terrence Winters is one of the
That's
writers.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I read exactly. I knew this was gonna happen because on Reddit, and we're gonna shout out to our new Reddit people, welcome. I was gonna say, dude, they gotta see the eyebrows.
Trying to school Stallone on how to do weights, even though clearly Stallone's been doing weights.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to say there's like this a scene where I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Reddit.
Oh, that I knew they were that he was gonna start becoming an earner. That Armand, let me reset. Yeah, I knew that they were gonna do the whole thing where Armand becomes the like an earner for Stallone, and I think it's really cool. I think it's because I read it on Reddit, like somebody predicted that was gonna happen, and I was like, that makes sense because he's like. He's a guy who knows the lifestyle. He's a guy he can already kind of trust because he never had a problem with him, right?
Yeah.
We thought, and it's good that it finally is revealed in here that he went away from the lifestyle by himself. He escaped. And he's not in witness protection. He just left.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy.
I'm the bad guy.
No. And so Stallone is like, you start kicking up to me, $300 a week, which is like not that much.
I
But
mean,
it's
maybe
like,
who knows what kind of life this guy lives.
Just living I guess that is a lot though. $300
a lot, dude.
You're right. No, I'm just thinking about it in terms of a mobster sense, but like this guy's not a mobster anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, like you think he kicks up 5,000 a week, but like this guy's out of the lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So he's dragging this guy back in. He's like,
Yeah.
you work for me now.
Me?
Oh man. But he was like so mad that he tried to kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Who else would it be, dude? But yeah, is Stallone lifting the weights in the next scene?
Yeah, he's lifting the weights in the next scene.
He is doing it kind of badly, but some guy comes and tries to school Stallone.
Yeah.
And he's like, what does he say to him? He like threads him in such a...
Keep your body in a standing plank position.
this
Danny
condescending
Mulroon
piece
of a
of
guy.
shit guy.
Yeah.
He might come back, dude. They bring everyone back in this show. I've noticed. I was going to say, even though Stallone does have these moments where he resorts to violence, there is a sense that he is like, you know, he is softening he's softening with his relationships. He's softening with his, like, you know, he lets Armand live, and Armand tried to kill him. Like,
yeah,
there's like he's like, I'm gonna do things different this time.
Yeah, I think instead of softening, it's setting the stakes to his level because of the fact that he's building a network of trust for people that he needs to build on his own mythos or his own bossness, because it seems like he does kind of resent the idea that not just he didn't get his own, but he sacrificed so much for somebody else, and it's just like, what the fuck did I do that for? I could have just been doing my own.
There's a disillusionment in this episode where he's like realizing that the guy that he did that for tried to kill him.
Yeah, and building sort of the character stuff in terms of Stallone getting a new suit in the next scene after lifting weights, and Tyson being like, yeah, the alligators and shit, let him alligator you up.
Dude, it's so funny. And like their relationship too is like, man, like he's like, yeah, like, you know, the tailor's like, you know, try something like a little more modern. You look like you're not from around here. I got some cool stuff. You know,
yeah,
I wouldn't be a good tailor if I didn't show you my cool stuff. And Tyson's like, yeah, like, why not? And like, it also is hinting that Stallone is going to eventually probably get more Cowboy Stallone.
Oh yeah, totally. Which I'm very excited for. And the reference to Bam Zoom straight to the moon.
And he was just using space travel as a metaphor for beating his wife.
The honeymooners.
Weird reference.
Outrageous choice.
I think they wanted to show the closeness between these two characters and also have like a kind of like love through violence kind of trope, maybe. I don't know.
Stacy's mom is gotta be on Tinder in the next scene where she's like,
her
coworker's like, hey, what about this guy? And she's like, is that a perp?
I love that so much.
No, he's on Tinder. And then she's like, oh, well, that's where your tax dollars are going. Fucking libertarian. Totally like, yeah, in that scene shows her political affiliations. No.
I mean
all cops are fucking right wing.
I mean, of course, yeah. But
they're on the same page.
Yeah. That's the thing. They agree. She agrees with the perps.
But yeah, it's just like a throwaway scene where it's like setting up that she needs to get out more and stop thinking about work more, and this interaction between her and Stallone is this like bizarre merging of these two worlds because she's unfulfilled in both her love life and her job.
Yeah, and it seems like they're trying to make it seem like the character is putting way too much on the emotionality that's been formed between the relationship between her and Stallone. Like her entire arc in this episode is really one of like her trying to take back agency from what she feels like she's sort of like losing herself because of the way that Stallone is intersecting her for work and for romance. It's kind of like a scary thing for her, right?
Yeah, for sure. Do you have trouble getting these? Fuck no. Nitrous is overseen by the Food and Drug Administration.
Oh man, what's this actor's name again?
His name is Garrett Hedlund.
That's it.
Oh man, Stallone's line in this episode, in this scene, not exactly the agency that strikes fear in one's heart, which is true. And that's kind of the amazing thing about mobsters and mobsterism that doesn't get talked about a lot is the sort of, with Tony, it was like, oh, I run a business that's garbage, right? It's like these innocuous jobs that are very politically strong in the working class. And that's the way you're able to circumvent the notion of like, well, you know, I'm actually just a super rich criminal into, oh, I'm a working man. Look how many working people I work around.
Well, I mean, I think that's really interesting. Like this whole idea of community and like mafia mixed with community, like the whole idea of mafia is they skim off the top because when like
they racketeer, right?
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying like originally it was a type of like protection, and government is like when a community got together. Yeah. But you know, I'm just saying like there was a kind of old country purpose for it. And like Stallone rediscovering the values of that in forming community, like through community, it seems like really cool in this episode, especially because you also see the way they're starting to earn with the nitrous, right?
But it's more a level of it's more a layer of I am trying to hide something rather than a community-based thing to me. Like it feels like
hide what?
Even the old style of like, oh yeah, back in the old country you used to do it like this because we didn't have a police force that would defend it. And it's like, no, it was just money for you. You know what I mean?
Of course there's always, you're right, like there is always opportunism in that, and I think that's where like that kind of dichotomy of human nature can take over. But I think the show is showing the complexity of that because it's showing like that you do get community, but you do get fucking bullshit as well. And we hear a lot of that through the mouthpiece of, we find out his name in this episode, dude. It's Mark, the dad, Tyson's dad, hot dad.
Yeah. This is where, well, we'll get to that. That's where my sort of divergence starts happening with the show in terms of what my Stallones and my rating system is going to be. But Bodhi, the guard for the store,
Fred,
and
White Dreads. What's White Dreads' name? Was he there?
Yeah, he was there. But yeah, they end up going to
like
it's like a carnival of some kind. And
is it a festival?
It's some sort of festival.
Is it that festival they were talking about last episode, like Lollapalooza or whatever? They kept saying the funny name for it.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, you get into the scene. Clint is the dreadlock kid's name.
Oh yeah.
What you end up seeing is you get these backer guys coming up. You guys making some good business.
That's why I wore my cut today.
Yeah,
dude.
totally. And yeah, they're like, yeah, we're making great business. Thanks. We need permission to sell here? Well, we're going to do it.
They're so like, they're so like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, they're the suburbs in comparison to these guys.
Yeah, it's very much like showing there's a they don't understand who they're fucking with sort of sense.
Yeah, totally. But in the next scene, Armand has admitted in the slinkiest way possible to his wife, in the most Karen kind of way.
And he's kind of like, I don't know, when was I supposed to tell you?
Yeah,
I started building a life and then I forgot about it. It was
really
kind of a good
that.
explanation. Yeah.
The idea that somebody is like not necessarily in control of those kinds of things, you want to do it sort of on a moral level, but you don't find yourself in a position where it's like, yo, like I don't want to sacrifice the good thing that I have out of this.
Yeah, like he clearly likes his life.
Yeah, but her being like, so are they gonna kill us? And he's like, no, just me.
Not you, just me.
And she's like, well, what do we have? And he's like, do you mean like the house, life insurance? The notion that her idea of what mobs are in movies gets challenged, which I also appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, no, dude, like, what do you mean? Like, I left that life. I want to be here. I don't want to do that. Karen. And her being like, is your name even Manny? It's Armand. I told you that, you know?
I was thinking about that. Like, if you have to change your name because you want to like change your identity, like because you want to like disappear from somebody's radar, does that mean, like, would you think of yourself as Alex or would you think of yourself as like somebody else?
I don't know. Like,
if you had to do it for a reason like that, like you were escaping someone,
it would probably be pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
To like get into a like a.
But what would
like
you?
that.
What would be your? Do you think of yourself as internal? Like, are you in your body? Are you Alex or are you just like?
I've never had like that much of an association with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because of like Alexander, you know, like
it's
all
like
that
variations.
Yeah, like Vuj.
Well, I feel very
like I don't feel attached to it at all. Like,
I
not
feel
in that
very
sense.
attached to my name.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's totally fair. Clara, would you stop? Karen, would you stop? But yeah, you know, like what's funny is like there is a bit of a like reckoning happening where people are like rewatching things like Breaking Bad and they're like, oh no, Skyler was actually like a good guy the whole time. And it's like, yeah, dude, like Skyler was a good guy the whole time. But at the same time, this character is way less annoyingly written in a way that's like, yeah, like this person I totally understand the like laying into this person as like, how do I know what you say? You're a liar. You lied to me for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's like a pretty intense betrayal, and she does it in
it's
a way
real
that's
Karen.
like Karen. Yeah, where it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna like stay around, but like fuck off. Like, how am I supposed to trust you?
Yeah.
But he does have a good point in the sense that like he wanted to forget, and it's pretty ugly, and.
Yeah, and you know, I actually appreciate the way that this actor is playing this character because there's a kind of like tenderness and vulnerability to him that, like, you know, it's sort of they show that he kind of, when he takes the reins again after, he kind of like grows out of, he's like almost recapturing a certain kind of feeling in him, but it's more that he's, I don't know. I don't think he's lost that like tenderness. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
He's still Slinky Manny.
Yeah. Well, when Tyson comes to pick up Stallone, they're driving, and Stallone gives him some money, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get me one of them rings." And he's like, "Well, you know, you can take this one. It's kind of lost its luster." And it might seem like, you know what it is? You know what lost the luster? The fact that Pete, I got this ring, and you.
That's why it lost.
That's why, yeah. He got the ring, and it's like, well, this one lost his luster because fuck that guy who tried to fucking kill me. But now he's giving it to somebody who actually he like likes and respects.
He admires, and it's kind of
he admires.
He's passing it along, dude.
Yeah.
He's passing the buck, dude.
Speaking of passing the fuck, in this neo-Nazi scene, biker bar, we get the lady who's like, they're weak links. They're weak links.
They're pussies.
Oh man, can I just say, this is totally this kind of person who's just like,
who's like egging everyone on.
Yeah, she's
there
so
to keep everyone in check
because she has to be kept in check. It's so much.
She does it.
She does it to other people. Yeah, totally. She's totally a person who's like, this man hits me, but in a regular like. In a way that she expects it to, because she's internalized. And it thinks it's
I totally read that in this character too.
Yeah,
and like
because the panic and
like,
the weakened link,
and she wants them like beaten up. She wants them made an example of.
Yeah, it's
and
no
they
minor fuck up. This like weird Irish guy.
Is he Irish? Yeah, because I was like trying to figure out what accent it was. I think it's Scottish.
Yeah, I think it's Scottish.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should.
He's an old IRA guy, maybe. Maybe he's an old IRA guy. No, I don't know. They're bikers though. They're not. They're I guess not Nazis. I thought they were Nazis.
I thought they were Nazis.
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
Oh,
but...
also, did we say? We didn't say, dude. We didn't say that Bad Face.
Oh, Bad Face is amazing.
Yeah, because they mentioned him earlier, and they're like, "We gotta get Bad Face," and Stallone's like, "Bad Face, I don't know." Doesn't he say he's off the reservation? Doesn't he use that expression?
Something like that. Yeah.
What does that expression mean? Does that mean crazy? to say that someone's off the reservation?
I don't know.
But then was he like doing like a weird double entendre because he's like Native American?
Well, he's just racist.
I know, but yeah.
Nothing is a double entendre. He was like, I mean, he's off the reservation.
I was watching an interview with Stallone about this show, and he was like full on saying like, this is the closest to my character that I've ever played. This is me.
Sure.
He's like, I'm playing a version of myself in this.
Sure.
And it's harder when you're playing. Actually, it's harder when you're playing yourself.
I write, which is something you don't.
Yeah, racist. HGH.
You got to admit things like you're racist, or
and that you take HGH,
They smuggled it in prison.
Oh man, and then Manny tries to pawn this antique off to Stallone, and he's like, "It's worth 20 grand."
It's like, yeah. Well, then why don't you sell it?
Why don't you sell it?
And he's
Well,
like,
they're gonna think I stole it.
If I sell it,
they're gonna think I stole it.
Go put it back before anyone notices it's missing. He kind of starts.
You ever seen American Pickers? I love the like suburban nature of
He's gotten
everybody.
more suburban, yeah.
Could be worth like 20 grand.
He watches shows now with his wife. He would never have known that before as an Italian mobster. But like, I like how kind of he treats him like a kid a little bit. He's like, all right, go put it back before anyone sees that it's missing.
Totally. Yeah. Because he is kind of a kid, like in the sense that he doesn't know what normal life is really. He's got this in him.
Well, he's stunted. There's an arrested development.
Exactly. Arrested development. Speaking of arrested development.
I got it working.
It's a video game combinations, dude.
But yeah, so Mark, the dad of Tyson, starts egging on and a little bit negging his son, being like, "You're making a lot of money. I don't trust that."
It's like
Which
challenging. He's like, "You're wearing a pinky ring. Only mobsters do that. What are you, a mobster now?" But it's kind of very realistic in
I'm
a
like
way
security.
that
Protecting him from what?
and the way that Tyson is very immature in how he kind of Tyson also has a kind of like immaturity to him where he's like he's trying to figure out who he is, and like he's a little bit like, whatever, dad. He's like vague about it, like, because he's a little bit embarrassed about what he does to his parents, but he's also like, so he doesn't want to show them what he does exactly. So he's like, I'm kind of like security. He's like, yeah, for a mobster, because the only mobsters wear pinky rings, and like, it's like the dad's like, I know what this is. You're fucking bullshitting me. Like the dad really like cares about him, but also kind of doesn't really know how to connect with him and is kind of pushing him away a little bit.
And the mom is like, stop egging him on. Like leave him alone. He's doing whatever.
Stallone.
Leave him Stallone. Yeah, but at the same time,
he wants to be left Stallone.
Absolutely. And we find out that he has a brother and a sister.
Yeah. So we get the whole family now, like which they didn't hint at before. I really liked the family stuff the most, and I kind of have a feeling what you're going to say about what we know is coming up, but I'm going to make my case for it, and we'll get to it.
The next scene is also about family, which is his sister Stallone and his dying brother Stallone, which I felt like was really nicely handled, because we also find out that not only through nice dialogue how we find out that they're related, but also the fact that Christina is in contact with his aunt and uncle, and we find out more about their relationship. We sort of organically start hearing about aspects of Stallone's life again in a way that he would, because he's just gotten out of prison. Yeah. So and he hasn't spoken to anybody in 25 years from his family.
But there's a real sort of sense that they are family. In their communication, like the way that Stallone talks to her, it really seems like there's a familiarity there.
Yeah, totally. You want to stop busting my balls for about 5 seconds? Yeah. But yeah, and we find out that his brother is dying, and then we cut to the rival gang fighting and beating the shit out of Bodhi and stealing the money from Tyson and stealing all the tanks.
Oh man. I mean, this scene was amazing. Like they just start showing, they kind of like aggressively start like pushing it, and it's like bullshit.
Oh my god, yeah, totally. I appreciate that. That kind of like realistic stuff I'm really into. And then in the next scene we find out that Clara, Manny's wife is looking for a new house in Is this what your house is like? Filthy like this?
Is that how your house is? Filthy like that?
Her name's Miss Clayton. Clara Clayton.
Clara Clayton. And then Manny sees the dog shitting while the dog is looking at him.
And there's just a real sense in this point, like, he's getting harassed by Stallone. He has to pay up to him now. He feels like cucked by his neighbor. His wife wants them to move, and he feels like he's losing the thread. You know,
Yeah,
like he's
exactly.
like, I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Yeah, totally. And then we get back to the bar. The soldiers are recouping.
Soldier.
You can't run from this war, soldier.
And they're trying to form a plan, a Art of War plan because obviously Stallone's read Art of War.
And Bodhi's like,
I don't do violence.
I don't do violence.
We're not doing violence. We're not doing
the
violence.
Art of War is war not violent? He says the greatest challenges are won without ever what is the line again? It was a great
line is the greatest victories are obtained without battle.
Yeah, and it's great. And like, there's a real wisdom Stallone. There's a real I don't want to resort to violence Stallone.
There's a real bad face Stallone.
Oh, dude. And he's like, thank you guys so much for like including me. Like,
yeah,
he's
totally.
like, there's a kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'm like, it's interesting. Like, he's obviously a really cool character. And I was seeing in the Reddit, everyone's really excited about Badface, and they're like, Badface has got to come back.
Yeah,
so like, this actor is amazing. What's the actor's name? But yeah, so he's there, and Bodhi's like, I kind of like Bodhi's reticence, because later it's showed that the people who are more comfortable with being violent in the moment help Bodhi, and there's a real sense of like
camaraderie.
Yeah, and like community. Like
Jonathan Joss, Badface. In the next scene, we get the signing up of Manny to come to the bar at 7:00, not knowing what's going to happen, and Tyson's interaction with his dad. Getting fixed up by the mom. And it's like, it's a bummer, because like the mom to some degree knows that this is also happening, and that the dad, Mark, is having like a reaction that's totally normal. But
she understands her husband's reaction, but she also doesn't want to alienate her son. Yeah.
And the fact is, they can't bridge that gap, in part because Tyson just doesn't have the experience and age to like go through something like this and understand why it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Mark probably does to some degree.
Of course.
And at the same time, he also is using terms that we would hate as kids, which is like, you're an investment, and like not being linked.
We want to see a return on that investment.
It's like, is that what you had me? Like,
and then he pulls out a stack of cash and disrespectfully throws the bills out.
Yeah.
But that shows that, you know, it's not about the money. When he says you're an investment, they invested like love and like care into like raising him a certain way. He's just understanding it in a way. He's getting offended by it. You know,
yeah,
like
totally.
It seems like there's like we'll get to it, because I find the way it plays out with the dad very interesting.
Yeah, well, and we get some scenes with Garrett Hedlund and Stallone, and he's like, "What, you think you're doing this without me?" And it's like, come on, dude. Like, would you be friends this quickly with this dude? It feels a little bit like the friendships are a little bit being forced into a thing. I appreciate it, but the Garrett Hedlund makes more sense to me than what happens with the dad. But before we get to that, Stacy's mom wants to go to a bar that she goes to, that she's friendly with people, and
she hasn't been there in a minute.
Yeah, and like she gets to like introduce herself to this dude at the bar, this like
hot dude
at the bar that's like a businessman type.
And he's like, "Hey, you want a good time with a good boy?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you a good boy?" And he's like, "Want a good time with the good boy?"
And he's like, "It's a good looking boy. Can I keep this picture?"
Good looking boy. Do you mind if I keep this picture?
No, go on.
Okay, this is the scene that you want to talk about. Badface is there and so ready to fight. He's so like, man.
It was a little bit of a quickly assembled ensemble, but I don't know. I really like the characters, so I was kind of excited about it, and I could forgive it that. But the dad, I know you're bothered by the dad showing up, so he shows up and kind of admonishes Stallone a little bit. He's like, "Hey, I know that your son's a grown man." Like, Stallone is actually kind of reasonable. He's like, "Hey man, I also had this talk with your kid. It seems like he's a grown man. I don't know." And he's like, "You know what? I'm a grown man too. I'm gonna join you guys." And it's like, if it was just left that he joined them and he was then okay with his son, I would understand your point. But the point that dad makes after everything has happened is what sells the choice on me, because he says, this isn't what you think it is. I helped you this time. If you ever want to come back, the door's open, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
And it's like a little bit like, if you're going to keep doing this, then fine. If you're a man, then you're a man. Go do your thing, And it's like, I appreciated that, because it was like, I'm going to do this for you because I don't want you to get hurt. But I want you to see what it's like.
And I think that's fair. I still think that there is a level of everybody is just too good at being a badass in the moment that feels a little bit not in the opposite vein of Breaking Bad, where what I was saying about Skylar at the beginning is yeah, exactly, is that her reactions to things were justified. They just weren't necessarily the best written, because I feel like there was a lot of dudes in that room. But it feels a little bit like, yeah, like, I'm going to show you, but also like everybody's got a past and everybody's been violent to some degree and is escaping that violence. And it's just like, the world doesn't really work that way. It took a bit of the sheen off the depth for me of that character, Mark. And it kind of, he doesn't have to be like a cock who doesn't do anything.
Can I counter your point for a second?
Sure.
So,
well, that's just how I felt about it. It's not like there's no point to be made.
No, but just let me give you some perspective, because this is what I'm thinking. Everyone in our cast of misfits is some kind of other from this society. We've got a Jewish guy. We've got a black guy. We've got two black guys. We've got intergenerational people. We've got
Slinky Manny. We got Badface. We got Fred.
It's like there's all different kinds of people, and so there is a sense that in this monoculture of Tulsa, where we're fighting against the biker gang, we're all somebody who maybe had to deal with some rough shit in our past.
I agree, but at the same time, I feel like the whole thing was we're not going to do this in a violent way, and then they just ended up doing a violent thing.
But
right?
How cool is that scene though?
It was great.
With the baseball bats.
Great. And then contrasting it with Stacy having sex with the dude
was really cool, and parallel climaxes like that.
Yeah. Totally.
It was saying similar things too, because she's also trying to kind of
they're all
deal
getting
with
off on
her
the
sordid
violence,
past,
and she's getting off on having sex.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. I think that there's an element to her. They mention her past of she fucked up for the 9/11 thing, where she didn't know a thing, and she did, she had to move also halfway across the country. She's got demons to deal with from the past, like Stallone does, and she's sort of dealing with them. The sex is kind of used in the same way the violence is in this scene.
Yeah, for sure. And then Bodhi escaping and being like, "Oh no, don't hit me," and getting hit a bunch of times until Badface is like.
But then Bodhi gets brave and he's hitting people. Yeah, it's a fun scene, dude.
Yeah, it's good. It was cool to see also when Stallone gets hit by a baseball bat and he's like, "Oh," and he's just like, "Oh no, I'm 75 years old."
I mean, yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was bad. It's him being in that mode and that frame. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That's awesome, because I wanted to see more old Stallone.
Yeah, but even even with showing his age, like his movement and everything he does in this is like, he's so in shape for a guy his age.
Yeah,
like
totally.
It's like wild.
Well, like, I mean, what I appreciated about Mark's lines is I'm afraid this isn't the bonding moment that you want it to be. It's definitely an idea that's like, okay, I don't want you to do this. I did this for all the same reasons that you said. It just feels a little bit off. I think maybe it happens too fast, or there wasn't a scene in between where they did try and solve things with no violence and then it escalated to violence. It just kind of escalates into violence, and that it's sort of the framework of, this is supposed to be the climax of this episode, and I'm writing it in that way rather than like building towards something. Whereas there's certain things that they are building towards, and then I feel like other times, which sometimes really works, other times they just kind of let it go and they make it a laugh, which I really appreciate. But like, I'll give you a good example. For 3 episodes, they built up him stepping in shit, him being involved with shit, Manny being like looking at stuff that's like, oh yeah, it's shit, I'm mad at my neighbor. They built that for 3 episodes to have it pay off in this episode. It's just like, it's interesting that the dad also built up in this way 3 episodes of like, oh, I'm mad at this kid, but he kind of fizzles out into this like, well, you do what you gotta do.
Out yet. We don't know what happens.
That's true.
Here.
I didn't see it happen.
Well, somebody should be fucking watching and keeping an eye on him.
Fair enough.
That's true.
Like, this is just the first instance we get of that, but I think it's good that they set up that like you're on your own. You know, like,
fair enough. Fair enough.
They use that this episode. Like, the dad has also been like, you know,
okay, I see what you do.
I've noticed that you're doing something weird. You have this weird car, like suddenly, like he's pulling out wads of cash. You know, like I think they did a good job setting it up. I know what you mean, and I see what you're saying, that there is a kind of maybe naive feeling quality, but I'm trusting the writing because it's a lot of things have paid off so far.
Yeah, for sure. It's just it's putting certain kinds of importance on certain things and then leaving other things, but then like things that I find interesting or think that like, this is how I would go with this show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's unfair of me to do that without seeing the whole thing in retrospect. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's like, because going scene by scene and line by line is like a little bit more difficult than like, oh, it's like it paid off in this way and it's cool in this way or whatever, you know? But yeah.
But the show's really like earned my good faith so far.
Oh yeah. It's still in there. It's just, I thought it was going to be second episode level all the way through, and I feel like it's going to be episode 3 level all the way through. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because a lot of people think that episode 3 is where it picked up. I've seen the discourse online, but I don't know. I'm like, we'll get to our rating soon enough. But
yeah, Stallone gives money to Manny, says, that's apples, this is oranges or whatever, and he gives him money. He's like, buy a new lawnmower. I'm Stallone, I'm gonna give the dad money too. Here, Mark, here's some money, and I'm gonna give Tyson money too. And
does Mark take the money?
Mark takes the money, yeah, and then leaves. They all leave, and then in the next scene we get Stallone talking to his sister and Joe as Joe is dying. And this is a great scene. This is
an amazing scene.
Yeah,
it feels like the best that Stallone is capable of. Like a Stallone, I was listening to him talk about like how they did the dialogue for a lot of the scenes, and he said they would give me what they had written and I would rewrite it to just how I would say it.
Yeah. That's
and
a good
like
idea.
I really, really got that sense in this, that there was such a natural quality. There was such a well acted quality. I think Stallone like is such an underrated, talented actor. Like to pull off the nuances of a scene like this and just to have the gravity and the gravitas. It like in one of the scenes or in one of the interviews, he was saying like, when you're really quiet, it can be the loudest than the biggest scream.
Yeah.
He said something along those lines. Like, he was like, sometimes there's so much power in subtlety and acting.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I so appreciate knowing that Stallone has those feelings about
choices.
Choice.
yeah.
Acting.
Yeah, because you trust him then when you're watching him.
Yeah.
And so this scene was so beautifully acted. He gives this speech about how his brother saw a guy who he thought looked like God, and he asked him if he was God, and he's like, if you see that guy, go with him and I'll join you. It was like a really, really touching scene. I really like, I called you right after because I was just like, oh man, like, I don't know, like it was like such a brothers scene. It was like very emotional.
I believe this. My brother.
Like I was like, damn, dude. Like I cried watching this scene. It was like a crazy scene.
And the bravery of this actor to just be a mouth open guy in the scene. Honestly, like
in a
selfie. Yeah, it's just, it was like, man, like people don't get enough credit for doing shit like that because it's like, it's embarrassing. He's
just a Danny Mulroon, dude.
Such a Danny Mulroon.
Danny Mulroon. I don't know what that means.
The next scene we get Karen. This is totally just aped out of that movie, but
steps in the shed.
Manny steps in the shed, and it's so gross.
It's so gross. Like it gets in all of the crevices,
grooves, and then him taking it and hitting him with the shit first. Is
like the way he like
the slinky way, but like also he like pushes the shit in his face pushes him down.
Yeah, he does. He's not hitting him, but then he's hitting him with the shit. But first he pushes the shit.
Yeah, definitely got to push the shit into somebody's face.
I mean, it reminded me of the story when Mama was throwing the shit at the woman, the dog shit. Remember, there was a woman who would throw dog shit on Mama's lawn, and she's like, "Excuse me, you dropped your lunch." And then she followed her, throwing the shit at the back of her head until the woman threw the shit away herself.
Amazing. But yeah, Manny tries to go in to the house, and Clara's like, "We've got that Zoom meeting," and he's like, "We already have a home."
He's aggressive, angry, masculine man.
Yeah, totally.
Manny, he's toxically masculine. He's like, "I'm not slinky anymore."
Yeah, totally.
Now I'm angry.
Now I'm toxically masculine. And then we get the final scene where Stallone and Tyson are talking, and he's like, "What color are you going to dye your hair?" And he's like, "Amber. You do you, buddy."
Yeah, and like this is a kind of like Stallone is allowing him to be himself in a way that Tyson appreciates.
But also, it's a weapon against this guy.
I mean, yeah, he's kind of also manipulating him and enticing him with the lifestyle. But, you know, like it's Stallone does want to take care of his people. It's just, it doesn't, you know, he's kicking up, dude. He's kicking up to Cheeky.
That's true.
They're in this thing, you know, this thing we do, there's no escaping. Costa Nostra.
That's the tragedy, isn't it? What would you give it out of Stallone's?
I would give this episode a 9 out of 10 Stallones.
9 out of 10 Stallones.
Yeah.
All right. Hit me with why.
We get some action Stallone. We get funny Stallone. We get angry Stallone. We get sad, loving his brother Stallone. We get telling a story in an emotional, sad way Stallone. We get like a big range of Stallone in this.
I agree.
Like I would say like flexing hard. I'm like hesitant to give any episode a 10 because he keeps outdoing himself.
I'm going to say the same about the Stallones that I would give it, but I am going to say that I would give it a 7 out of 10 this episode. Just because I felt a little bit like I'm not going to get the climaxes that I want in the individual episodes until the end. And they're still doing some setting stuff up, which I appreciate. That's fine.
It's only the 4th episode. There's 10.
Exactly. I'm good with the plot of Mark coming in. I'm glad that they did some interesting stuff. I also wasn't expecting it too. That I appreciate the unexpectedness of
it was surprising
him joining them to
and
go
they earn
fight.
it. They earn it.
I don't know if they earn it.
They earn it with the dad's reaction afterwards.
Sure.
Because he's like, "Listen, dude, I helped you now. I know what you do. Good luck.
I just feel like for all the setup for the dad being like, yo, dude, like, don't work for a gangster.
No, but I think that's exactly why he did it. I think that's why he went. He wanted to prove to himself what was going on.
No, but like, but that wasn't the point of, to me anyway, that wasn't the point of it's not proving that this guy is a bad person. It's knowing that this guy's a bad person.
No, he wanted to assure himself.
But assuring oneself, like, I don't know any dad who would be like, okay, I'm gonna go, and then you do you, kid. It would be like, no, dude, I'm come home. What are you doing? You know, at 25, at 35, at 45. Like, I don't know anybody. Like, yeah, sure. We talk about Tata like being you know, a toxic person, but Tata would never do this. Tata would do everything in his power to pull us out of whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know what
every dad.
I know what you mean, but
Stallone
also
would do that.
No, I know what you. Well, he even says that. He's like, "You're a father, then you understand." There is a level of like, I know what's best for my kid, but I'm gonna let my kid make the mistakes or the life choices that the kid's gonna make.
That's fair, but I will say that a person that it like, this feels like the writer thing of, I need this to happen in the plot, rather than I want this character to have their motivations behind whatever they want fulfilled.
Maybe.
Because it's like, I don't know. For me, if this character, if you contrasted what you saw in the first episode where he's like, you know, disappointed dad, like, it feels like, I don't see how they can make that jump from this character to the character that happens. But fair enough. Like, I mean, we'll see what happens. But that's my major criticism.
I would give this episode, this was my favorite episode so far.
Cool.
And I would give this episode an 8.5 because
fair.
I think that a lot of the things that have been set up were paid off in a cool, exciting way. I like the ensemble. I like the characters. I like the progression of their story. It excited me about what's going to happen next. I would like, this was like my favorite episode so far. Like awesome. Like I'm like hooked on the show at this point. I'm excited every week to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I gotta say.
Cool. Follow us at
Thirst for More Percents on Instagram.
At More Thirsty.
On Twitter. And guys, the crown jewel of them all, the Patreon, where you get all the most special things.
All the special things.
All the special things, guys.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Patreon.com/thirsty for more. I'm not talking about his cat.